I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is Project Architect 2. Now today, diving back into some more Project Architect 2, things are going to get kind of real, as we are going to start clearing out these rooms that are off to the side and start setting them up for more research facilities. These research facilities, or at least the one that I'm going to be working on today, is going to involve mob farms. Now, not just any mob farm. No. This is actually going to be spawners. So we should be able to accelerate, modify, and enhance all of the mob spawners, and we can create and craft spawn eggs for just about any mob in the pack. And this is going to be super helpful because we're actually going to be working our way very soon into RFTools Dimensions. And to be able to make a tablet dimension, we actually need a nether star. And there is going to be a need for nether stars in the future and some way to get nether stars. And that means we have to farm a particular type of mob, and that is a wither skeleton. And doing this process by hand would be incredibly tedious. Now, there is something that is going to help me with this, and that's of course making a spawn egg and getting a spawner set up. But we're probably going to have more than just one mob in here. So what I want to do is I want to start clearing out this room down in the bottom, I do believe. Actually, you know what? This is going to be up top here. We are going to be clearing this out, and I'm going to be decorating it using some of the B materials. Now, the way that I want to do this may seem kind of crazy, but believe me, it's going to work out pretty well. We just need to head to the Bumble Zone, and I need to find an area in the Bumble Zone that looks really cool. And what I'll be able to do is cut and paste that section of this world back into my overworld. For example, this section right here, I feel like this is going to be perfect. We have an entryway, and I just need to make sure I set my shapes up so that way this is kind of nice and centered. And this will give me a ton of space so I can decorate, and it gives me a starting point as well. So the way I'm going to do this is by using the cut paste gadget. And hear me out, this is going to, like I said, be kind of interesting how I plan on doing this, but I need to define a start point. So let's just grab, for right now, some cobble, and I need to figure out, hey, where do I want the sort of entrance to be? And I think like right here would be a good idea. So we could create a floor level, much like this, and I want it to be the width of this wall, and I'm going to kind of measure things out here. Actually, the more that I think about it, the more I'm like, the kind of like closed in quarters right here would look fantastic. So let's actually go ahead and start here. So I'm going to select 2 points. So I'll just start right here by selecting by right clicking and then shift right click. And now I have a bounding box, and I can actually start to modify this. So I can bring up the main value here, and then I can increase it quite a bit. And I do want to bring this down, but I just want to keep bringing this up. And then when I hit confirm, I can actually see how tall this is. So I'm going to keep on. I think I can go up quite a bit. And then what I can do is I can keep modifying this right here on the this start position. Just like this. I want to take it down like 3 blocks. So I grab all of these 4 blocks. How about that? And then I'll start to expand the width like this. I should be able to also, we might have to change the start point. Let's see, this expands how wide it is. And the Y value we've already adjusted. Okay, so that makes it smaller. So we're going to take this out quite a bit. And then I just need to move the start position here, which is going to be kind of interesting. Oh man, it's a lot of modifying. Like I kind of need to like step back so I can actually see the bounds a little bit better, and then go back into the settings and just continue to kind of manipulate this a little bit. So like I definitely want it to be longer, and I want it to be way wider than it currently is. Okay. And that means I need to just kind of nudge this around until I get it to pretty much encompass this entire area. Let's see, this will get moved back a little bit and forward. This is going to be quite a large selection, and hopefully we can contain all of this. Notice, by the way, if I can see this, that means that if I can see any of the edge of the bound, that means that it is not going to be big enough. Okay, so now overall, I'm loving the position of this and where this is actually set up. It does look like I just need to modify this just a little bit. This needs to go over like that. We need to bring that out just like so. And I think we are completely ready to cut this. So this is going to be very interesting to do. So I'm hoping it doesn't lag too much to do this, but I am going to be cutting this area out and essentially pasting it in our base. So let's go ahead and cut. There it goes. You can see all of that is being cut right now. And the cool thing is when we paste this in, it's actually going to void all of the air blocks as well. This is also crazy satisfying to watch happen. It's just cutting a huge piece of the world out of this dimension. Oh man, for placement in our own base. It's going to copy all of this and we can just use a regular world gen and just move it wherever we want. What an amazing tool. Like honestly, an insane tool. Look at that, just grabbed right there. Beautiful. So now here's going to be the tricky part, actually pasting this in. So what I can do is I can actually rotate this around and hopefully figure out exactly sort of my point of view on this. We can go into the settings. We can also start manipulating this a little bit, pulling it away from us or near us, just like this. I think it would be best to kind of get that set up like it is and kind of knowing where the entrance is at. So for example, this would be like the center point right here. So now that I know that if I'm facing the west direction, then I know that I am facing in the correct direction. So whenever I go down here, I can check, am I going to be facing the west direction? We can place it over here. I have no problem doing that. But I might want to give myself a little bit of room instead of just placing it directly. I feel like it might be a bad idea. Now, keep in mind, this room is up here. Actually, this is where I wanted to place it, right? Was up top. Okay, so we're going to place it right up here. And already I can see the outline of this, knowing that I definitely need to drop this down. So let's take the settings and we'll drop this down quite a bit. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any coming back from this. So be careful before you right click. I don't think there's an undo. I really don't. So I do need to clear this out a little bit and just make sure where the start of our footprint is going to be. That I feel like is going to be very important. And also any block that's in its way will be voided. So just keep that also in mind. Let's do our settings here. Let's bring this back up. And I can see that is the center. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this back up top and I'm just going to kind of center it the best I can and see if like what the actual position needs to be for this. So here we go. I have set it right here and it's anchored on this center point. And this is how big this is actually going to be. Now I'm thinking if this is centered, I mean, it doesn't really feel super centered, but I don't think I can move it over anymore. It is as far over as it will let me take this. So what I might have to do is count how many blocks I need in order to actually get it centered. And it's good to know as well that that top block is the top. So if I move this, for example, like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and anchor there. Let's see, does that feel more centered? Not exactly. I think I went over a couple too many blocks. Let's try, for example, here. And that does feel a lot more centered right there. So I went over 1, 2, 3 blocks in order to do this. Whew, okay, so I think this is it. I mean, there's no coming back from this. There is no coming back from this. 1, 2, 3 blocks over is where we're going to be. All right, let's unlock this and we'll go back and we are going to paste this in. Yeah, like I said, there's no coming back. We're going to make sure we're facing the west. We're going to do this up top and I'm going to place this down. I'm going to leave a 3 block space. So 1, 2, 3 in here. I think most of these rooms have been done that way. 1, 2, 3. And then it's going to get placed here. Let's anchor this. Actually, not anchor it. Where did my... Uh-oh. Where did my preview go? I do not see the preview anymore. Oh, because we changed from face mode. Whew. I was so worried. Okay, so let's go ahead and break this. We have 1, 2, 3. And I believe this is where we want to paste it. So 1, 2, 3 forward, which means I need the lock to be on this block right here. Okay, let's anchor it to that block. We're going to bring it down. Down one. To be flush for the most part. And we're going to right click. And 3, 2, 1. If all is well, I shouldn't have destroyed my base. So that's the hope. But what we should have is essentially a slice from that world now here. It is actually kind of crazy that this is even possible. So it is now done. If I turn on night vision, I can now see that this is all set up and ready to go. We are going to need to get lights in here. But we're also going to have to be careful because remember, we're putting spawners in this place. And to prevent the bats, I think, from spawning, I'm going to use a dread lamp, and then I'm going to use a mega torch here to prevent any hostile mobs from spawning. So now that I have this, I need to start kind of setting a floor, and then I've got to fill in the roof with the exchanging gadget and get this looking a bit more like honeycomb. Now back here in the Bumble Zone, I do want to grab some of these beehive beeswax blocks. I think this is going to be really great. So I just need to make sure my magnet is on and make sure the vein mine's on. And I'm going to set this to shapeless and just be careful not to fall into the void. So if I do fall into the void, then I will just be teleported back to my beehive. And I just don't want to do that. I just want to collect some of these blocks. I'm going to use them and exchange a lot of the pathing and stuff like that, utilizing these blocks. I think it's going to look really good. Now, I also want to show this off, which is pretty darn cool. So you can actually link your exchanging gadget and all of the gadgets, by the way, into here by doing this, by placing it inside your access point. And now that exchanging gadget can pull items out of our inventory or out of our storage. So if I just have the block, for example, right here, and I will go to the exchanging mode, I can actually put all of these logs in here, and we're going to notice it still works because now it's pulling out of our applied energistic system. Oh, I think this is actually getting there. It's looking really, really good. I'm going to add a lamp over here. I'm using these feral flare lanterns in this room because it's just a huge room. It'd be really hard to get this to light up properly. But my goal is that I don't actually want the light to spill into this room too much, but I do want this entire area to be lit up. I also decided to add the lights up here, similar to this room right here, since this is one of the major halls. And, oh, this is going to be glorious, especially when we get our spawner areas set up. So perfect. Now that I've got this room very lit up, so this is with the this all turned off. It looks very nice in here now. This is all lit up. I do not have night vision enabled. This is just what it looks like now. I think that is perfect. Now, I did create the chamber rooms. These are what's going to contain our mob spawner killer chambers, which is essentially what I'm going to want. Now, I'm going to use the destruction gadget here to hollow out these rooms. I think I'm going to go with like an 11 by 11 room. That should be a pretty good size. And we should be able to easily define that right here by making sure this is all set up appropriately. And I should be able to see the way this is going to look, hopefully. Now, I did manage to get this all set up. So what I have going here, I have 5 out on this side. I'm going 14 tall. This will give me a total height of 15 and then a depth of 11. And I'm going 3 blocks back from the center. So 1, 2, 3. And then when I clear this out, it should clear out like a perfect 11 by 11 sized room. Okay, now I wasn't expecting this to turn out this darn good. This is fantastic. And this is going to be the spawner room, essentially, where we have our spawner set up. So the spawner is going to go in this room inside of the 11 by 11, and we can have up to 4 of them as of right now. And that should be plenty, right? We should be able to swap these out. Making spawn eggs is not going to be too difficult. And now that we have the room sort of done, we can actually start working on that particular part. How do we actually get a mob spawn egg and a spawner? Well, first things first, we are going to need some mob swabs. So I am actually going to craft up a few of those, and I'm going to keep them in my bag here for future use down the road. Just so that way, if we encounter a mob, I can just go ahead and I can just swab it a little bit, you know, stick it right in its ear hole and call it a day there, right? So we need to do this, for example, to a wither skeleton. So to the nether we go. Now also blazes would be really nice to have set up as well. You know what? I'm actually going to swap some blazes. These could produce some really nice EMC for us. But there we are, wither skeleton. I'm going to go ahead and kind of swab you a little bit. Hopefully that didn't bother you too much. And now that we have these 2 swabs, we can turn them into spawn eggs. Now, I would recommend grabbing these spawners, but we've actually found spawners elsewhere, and I kind of want to grab those spawners. Now, remember back at the stronghold? Yes, this place, there's actually quite a few spawners all over the place, and it's going to be the easiest place to grab them from. You're going to need a silk touch pick, or you need something like a cardboard box, and we should be able to pick these up. And so now I have myself a skeleton spawner, and there's a whole bunch of stats associated with this. So I should be able to hit U on this, and I can see all of the individual things that allow me to modify this. Now, starting out, we're not going to be modifying this all too much because there are some requirements that are going to kind of limit us just a little bit. For example, we would need tar to reduce the delay. We'd also need breeze rods to increase the amount of entities, and fallen stars, which we actually do have to increase the spawn count. Also, ignoring players is going to be very nice, so I definitely want to get my hands on a conduit. Now, to be able to get the spawn egg, which will allow us to change the actual spawner itself, we need to grab a few buckets of experience, and then we craft that with our swab, and this will give us some GM chicken feed related to whatever data or DNA is stored on that wither skeleton. So we're doing even more research for our research facility here. And now that we've got the DNA, we can start to process it more by, well, taking on these mob spawners again. So yes, we do need buckets of essence. And there we go. So now we'll have a blaze DNA, which will allow us to get a blaze spawn egg. And we're also going to have a wither skeleton spawn egg. The wither skeleton probably be one of the most important ones. So speaking of swabbing, look what I just found right here, right outside the base. I definitely should swab this guy. Yeah. This is going to be really nice. This is one of the thermal mobs. Very dangerous little guy. But there we go. I now have that stored for later. I'll worry about that in a little bit. But for right now, I need to search out and find myself a chicken. And I just need to feed this chicken. And there we go. That is one of the best ways of getting a spawn egg, allowing us to start our mob farm work. So I've extended off the roof. Now, typically your spawners are going to have a width of 4x4 on all sides, including vertical as well. So I like to typically cover the top of the spawner, so it kind of helps me with mob spawns in that area. But I just want to make sure it's at least 4 blocks off, so go 5 blocks up or 4 blocks up and then place this on top. And whenever I do place this in, I'm going to want to hit it immediately with a redstone comparator. That is going to stop this, allowing us to turn this on and off with a redstone signal. And that is going to be very helpful later on, especially once we start modifying this. It's going to make sure that we can control our spawns. And now to change the spawner, for example, this one is a zombie, I just right click the egg and this has now turned into a blaze spawner. And same thing for this one, this is a skeleton, but we can just convert it like that over into a wither skeleton. Now, when it comes to directing these mobs, once they do spawn, I'm going to be utilizing vector plates. So the best way to do this is to get the vector plates all leading into one area. And I think right here is where I'm going to have the thing that actually kills the mobs. So just need to make sure that everything eventually leads here. And we can actually do this, which makes it very, very easy to place these. So yes, we can actually just extend this across the room. Now, when it comes to what's actually going to be doing the killing of the mobs, it's going to be the mob masher, of course, because this has the best upgrade ability, especially for granting ourselves skulls from particular mobs. And we can also increase the amount of looting, for example, from the blaze rods, to maximize even more EMC production, because blaze rods, honestly, they produce quite a bit of EMC. Now, I am going to try this again. I'm going to try to pump the experience, for example, into this experience crystal. I don't know if, yet again, if this is going to work. It has had some updates since I tried last time, so I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm going to try 2 different ways. I'm going to try just placing it down like this and seeing if we can't, for example, get that XP to go down right under the fluid mode. I'm hoping it can send here. If not, we'll just resort to the way we've been doing it. Now, one of our first modifications for these outside of the redstone is going to be the lantern. So whenever I do this, it is going to make sure that it doesn't have to be dark in order for this spawner to work. So it's going to remove the sort of light effect that typical spawners do have on them. So that is now removed. Now the next thing that I think I want to do is increase the amount of mobs that can spawn and also allow us to make these work even if we're not here. Because with the typical spawner, you have to be within like 16 blocks of the actual spawner in order for it to work. But we should be able to do this, but we are actually going to need to do some trading with a villager first. So back at our original little starter house, we can go ahead and slap a villager in here, and we're supposed to be able to do some trading. For example, I'll do some trading here, and we should be able to level up the oceanographer, and I think it sells us nautilus shells. Actually, you know what? Instead of doing the trading by hand, why don't I just grab this oceanographer that's been leveling up this entire time? Yeah, since all of the trades, this guy should be rocking, there we go, a nautilus shell and also hearts. But these do have EMC, and we've already done the searching and actually found the hearts. So we should be good to go. And this is going to be twofold as well, because not only are we going to be able to use the nautilus shells to get our spawners up and running, but we can now make our quote-unquote time in a bottle. And when I say time in the bottle, I mean the temporal pouch, which, yes, if I could save time in a cool bottle, bundle, which is kind of a reference to the time in the bottle, this right here is essentially the exact same thing, which is pretty darn nice. So I'm going to grab my conduit. So that is EMC. And then this just requires some raw gold. And there we go. So now that we have this, it's going to just start saving time, which we should have made it a while ago, but I've been kind of working on a bunch of other projects here. But anyways, now that I have this, we can go ahead and grab a couple of those, and we're only going to need 2 for right now to get our spawner actually up and running, and I'm so excited for this. Oh, this is just so cool, being able to like walk through our research facility, and then we have this huge area that we just researched and studied, and we just sent all of the stuff over here. I don't know. The story that I'm kind of building around this in my head works, so I hope you guys are enjoying it as well. All right, let's go ahead and get these up and running. So we'll send that there, and now it says factory ready, which is exactly what I want to do. All right, and we got that in there. Perfect. And technically, this is ready to be turned on. Now with the blazes, I do want to make sure that I get out of here as quick as possible. I do not want the blazes to see me. So let's do tinted glass. I don't want them to I don't want them to try anything kind of wild or not, but there we go. So they're up and running. I don't think anything's going to burn in here because I do have the area claimed, so I shouldn't have to worry about anything being burned. But for right now, that should be up and running. And this one should also be up and running. And their spawn delays are going to have to be adjusted. That's something that I'm going to have to fix. Right now, they are not running as optimal as they could. But there we go. We already have the blazes now running. And did it actually send the XP? Ah, good. It did. So it sent XP into the top like that. And we're about to find out, does this one send the XP into the top? Don't know why this guy has just stopped all of a sudden. There we go. But it does look like, yes, the XP is now being sent. So that must have been fixed in an update. Ah, I'm so happy about that. Now, of course, to optimize this even further, we're going to need ourselves some looting upgrades. So more mob grinding utils. For the wither skeletons, we need the beheading upgrade, at least 10 of these. So now after getting those upgrades crafted, let's go ahead and throw these in here. So this is going to be 3 sets. We're going to have looting, sharpness, and beheading in the one with the wither skeletons. And then this one just needs looting and sharpness. Just to make sure it can kill them fast and also guarantee some looting, which is going to be very nice, especially since, like I said, these will build up very quickly once we get these upgraded. And already with the head right here, you can see we are getting wither skeleton skulls very quickly, but we're also getting swords. And so this is where having a void upgrade inside of this barrel is going to be very nice for making sure we just get rid of those. So slap the void upgrade in, make sure this is set to allow mode, and set this to tag mode, place the item in, and scroll down into, for example, Forge Tools, and perfect. So now that Forge Tools is in here, all of these swords will hopefully get voided. Now for the blaze one, I don't think we're gonna have to worry too much about having an inventory here. Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna simply place an EMC link. For now, we're probably gonna have to upgrade the EMC link later on down the road, but it should just automatically start to import those items slowly out of here. And we may have to, like I said, upgrade this down the road whenever we upgrade this fully. Now, just when you thought I was done today, no. We are actually going to be taking on our first wither today. and it's going to almost be an insta-kill. I mean, it is going to be an insta-kill, but it is going to have to explode. So I've made probably one of the most ominous rooms I could ever make, and it is a room that puts you in pure darkness. Very, very scary in my opinion. And it is essentially the entirety of the inside of this room encapsulated by the tinted glass. And this stuff is wither resistant. So this will grant me my first star and the potential for automation of stars in the future. So let's go ahead and grab the skulls. There's already 70 skulls in here. That's just kind of absurd. But I should now be able to, for example, place this guy in here. And I can spawn this in any way I want. I can lay them flat or what have you. But we should be able to get the wither to now spawn. I could be right in this room because we have gem armor. We should be fully protected. And I should be able to use the Qatar special ability to one-shot. And there it goes. It is now done. And we just gathered ourselves our first nether star. Now, of course, my goal is to not do this by hand, but for right now, it is going to be done by hand. The goal is to definitely automate this, especially whenever we get into Industrial Foregoing. But now that I have access to this star, we can now gain access to one of the most powerful methods early on to gain EMC, and that is going to be through RFTools Dimensions, which we're going to be diving into next episode. So if that's something you're looking forward to, be sure to click that subscribe button and make sure you are subscribed. Also click that notification bell so you don't miss a new episode just like this one. And guys, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Now that I've mentioned that, be sure to check out the Discord, discord.gg/ChosenArchitect, and also follow me over on Twitch if you haven't already. I would really appreciate that. And guys, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Desolate. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me in one of the best ways possible. And I thank you guys so very much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. And of course, as always, thanks for watching. Bye!